The most enduring mysteries always hide in plain sight. What makes 2007 cult classic Mononoke so enigmatic is that it doesn't take time to explain itself. The story unfolds on its own beat, leaving viewers to infer for themselves what exactly just happened. Thus, viewers often walk away with conflicting accounts and various interpretations regarding the events in the story. But perhaps no arc evokes this element of mystery more than the third one in the series and fourth overall, Nopperabou, or blank face. If you're watching this video, you probably know the narrative style of Mononoke already, but allow me to refresh your mind anyway. 2007 Mononoke is a horror mystery which follows a nameless protagonist known only as the medicine seller, whose job is to exorcise Mononoke, which are malevolent spirits formed when you combine an intense, lingering emotion with an ayakashi. In order to do so, he must find out what creature is the Mononoke, why it came to be, and what its heart desires. These three questions form the basis of every mystery in the anime. Each arc, the medicine seller has to battle a different creature with a different backstory, but the core remains constant. A Mononoke terrorizes a cast of characters, the medicine seller shows up to do his job, he questions every person there to find clues that may hold the answer to those three questions. Out of the lineup containing 6 arcs, excluding the new movie series, Nopperabou is probably the least eventful in terms of plot. It begins with the medicine seller confronting a woman named Ochou in her prison cell, who was put there on charges of murdering her husband's family and is awaiting execution. But soon thereafter, her mysterious lover comes to whisk her away. They elope, but the wedding party was interrupted by the sudden reappearance of Ochou's supposed-to-be-dead mother and then the medicine seller himself. The subsequent episode is dedicated to unraveling the identity of the Mononoke that's haunting Ochou, a character that, to this day, remains known only as the man in the fox mask. Over the years, many theories have been put forward as to the identity of the mysterious man in the fox mask, from simply being a random Mononoke in love with Ochou to the medicine seller in disguise due to his striking resemblance to the medicine seller's alter ego, Hyper. I myself have dabbled in pretty much all of these takes, switching between one or another as my perspective changed during the almost 10 years since I first watched this anime. However, in this video, I would like to discuss a theory that's not necessarily new, but upon repeated and close examination, it is one that is strongly supported by the narrative and presents thought-provoking connotations. The Nopperabou, or the man in the fox mask, is Ochou. Like other Mononoke from the show, the Nopperabou takes its name after a yokai in Japanese mythology. Literally meaning flat-faced or blank face, this creature may appear to look like an average human, but its face is completely devoid of eyes, nose, or mouths, and hence it has no defining feature or expression, just a completely blank canvas. While Nopperabou is not a heinous yokai, it does have a spooky factor. Popular stories about this monster often follow a person who encounters another while traveling alone. He would approach and talk to them, during which the being would show their face, scaring the person away. They then run into another human and tells them about the encounter until that person too turns around and reveals themselves to be a Nopperabou as well. Some yokai scholars connect this monster to well-known shapeshifters in Japanese folklore such as the Mujina, Kitsune, or Tanuki, and theorize that the Nopperabou is just a form that these creatures may take to stir mischiefs. While this is a point of scholarship contention, it does have an influence on the living mythos, particularly on the Nopperabou character in Mononoke. The primary form of the Mononoke Nopperabou is the man in the fox mask, but instead of having no face, the creature's real face is always hidden, and it is fiercely protective of that face. Hence, the mystery redirects to what is under the creature's mask? What is its true identity that it tries so desperately to hide? At times, the Nopperabou is represented purely as the kitsune mask itself, since it can change shape at will and continue talking even without a body attached to it, which is a rather interesting interpretation of the Nopperabou's connection to famous shapeshifters. I previously noted that Nopperabou is not a particularly eventful arc in terms of actively moving plot, while also containing the smallest cast of central characters, yet it is one of the most psychologically complex. See, Mononoke often toys with the idea of layered deception and manipulated narratives versus the truth. A straightforward example can be seen in the two Bakeneko arcs, which marks the beginning and end of the series. In Bakeneko 1, when questioned, the head of the Sakai clan offers a false account of how the Mononoke came to be, pinning the blame on Tamaki's jealousy. But later on, the medicine seller is shown the truth behind the monstrous manifestation from the cruel abuse of Tamaki and her cat, along with the killing of countless kittens by the members of the Sakai household. Likewise, in Bakeneko 2, other characters' false reports of Setsuko's death led to the incident being ruled a suicide caused by career disappointment. However, it is revealed that she had been murdered by her boss to cover up the mayor's lavish spending, and these people heard and saw her screaming for help but lied and said they didn't. One person even lied in an attempt to get famous. But Nopperabou is told through a singular perspective. Instead of contrasting false narratives with the truth, the arc centers around Ochou coming to terms with her truth, that she has been mistreated her entire life. Ochou's story is told through snippets of her childhood and marriage, played over and over again, each time with a very slight tweak. The medicine seller accompanies Ochou through facets of her memory. He prompts confronting questions to force Ochou to re-examine key moments of her past from different angles, slowly peeling back layers of self-deception to reveal the true emotional core. There are several hints littered throughout the arc which strongly suggest that Ochou has been turned into a Mononoke due to her inner turmoil. The first of which is when the medicine seller encounters the man in the fox mask as he comes to rescue Ochou from prison. While the two battle for the first time, the sacred sword, or Taima no Ken, does not recognize the man in the fox mask as the true form of the Mononoke. Despite that, when the man leaves together with Ochou, the medicine seller's scale tips towards the direction that the couple had fled, implying that, indeed, if the Mononoke was not the man in the fox mask, then who could it have been? The next important hint comes during what's dubbed Ochou's life part the second and part the third. During these flashbacks, Ochou and the medicine seller observe her childhood and wedding like third-party spectators. It was during this sequence that Ochou begins to see how much her mother's parenting style has harmed her spiritually. When she's stuck indoor practicing koto and getting berated, part of her soul separates to go play with a temari. What's left behind in that room is no longer a person, but a mask of an obedient child. And at her own sobering and depressing wedding, young bride Ochou's out-of-body projection answers the beckoning of the man in the fox mask, leaving present-time Ochou shocked and upset. But why is this so impactful to both the story and its central character? For that, we need to look at the arc immediately preceding Nopperabou, which is Umibozu. The twist of that particular story goes that the sea monster, which has been haunting the Dragon Triangle, was not, in fact, Genkei's little sister, but himself, spawned from self-loathing and guilt for their incestuous relationship, guilt for letting her replace him in the ocean-bound coffin, and guilt for his own lack of guilt in the past. What shows is that a Mononoke can easily manifest from a living person, especially the parts they try so desperately to hide and deny, to the point where the host might not even realize that side of them had turned monstrous. Hence, when Ochou sees her own soul splitting itself in half, one servicing her duties towards her mother and one tending to her duties towards herself, she realizes that she has been all the more vulnerable to being possessed. Realizing the truth of the matter, Ochou breaks down and sobs unconsolably. All her life, she has been mercilessly used by others to better their own end, and by refusing to confront her pain and tend to her needs, her soul splits, her misery festers, and she becomes a Mononoke. The talismans wrapped around the fox mask begin to unravel like bandages, and in the medicine seller's mirror, Ochou's tormented face appears, screaming into the void. In retrospect, there is no yokai better suited to embody Ochou's suffering than the Nopperabou, the faceless monster. The manifestation of her soul suggests that the Mononoke was born from neglect, both neglect from the mother who exploited her innocent daughter for status and self-neglect, suppressing her own needs and a burning desire for freedom in favor of serving other people. Quite metaphorically, she kills off her sense of identity. Thus, Ochou's detached soul acts on her longings in her stead. When Ochou is not allowed to play, the other self plays for her. When Ochou gives up on love upon her arranged marriage, the other self conjures up an ideal lover. When Ochou is cruelly abused by her husband and his family, the other self hands her a knife. Her Mononoke prioritizes her desires in an uncompromising and ultimately violent way. Because Ochou has spent her life disregarding her natural instincts, it must overcompensate in order to please and protect her. The mask is a central symbol in this theory. Rather than donning a blank face like a traditional Nopperabou, Ochou's Nopperabou is an ever-transforming mask, implying that not only does she mask her emotions, she wears different masks to please different people. The mask of a good child for her mother, the mask of an obedient wife for her husband and in-laws. She even puts on the fox mask to play house with herself, to cope. And in the charades, she ends up forgetting her own face beneath it all. But the show also presents an interesting comparison in the medicine seller. During the first battle with the man in the fox mask, the medicine seller's face is wiped away, leaving him momentarily incapacitated. But soon after, he appears all well and good with a temporary doodled-on face, which he swiftly discards like a punchline, implying, perhaps, that he, who knows himself so well, so firmly, would never fall victim to having his identity erased, unlike Ochou, who does not at all know, or at the very least, does not acknowledge herself. In exercising the Nopperabou, the medicine seller allows Ochou to see herself clearly, to know her sufferings as much as her remedies, to confront the root of her problems, and understand that she has the option to do away with everything that makes her miserable, and that there may well be salvation once she untethers herself from others' greed. Ochou asks him why the Mononoke cares about her so, why it tends to her, why it protects her. The medicine seller simply theorizes that perhaps the creature has fallen in love, And Ochou cries, realizing that there was, in fact, somebody in this world who truly loves her. Herself.